Tanya and I are just now wrapping up a 3-month trip in Europe. We're leaving today from Skopje, North Macedonia. I started thinking about some of the challenges or hurdles that older travelers face when making long distance trips. Now, if you're doing this all the time and you're going from point A to point B without any stops in between and you're 25 years old, okay, that's great. You can probably do this all day long. I mean, one trip after another. But as older travelers, I figure we face 3 constraints. One is time. Well, that's one we all face, but for us it's a little bit different in terms of, do we need to get back to work or our home destination right away? Well, no. If we're retired, it can take a little longer. It's not a big deal. And number 2 is, of course, money, but as always is a travel constraint when you're planning things. But if we've budgeted our travel properly, as we as savvy older travelers do, that shouldn't be a concern either. The third constraint, though, is physical energy. And this is something that we have found out, and that if you are over 65 or over 75, you may find that this is sometimes the most important constraint of any of them. And okay, you've been gone for a while, you're going to take a long trip home. What do you feel like when you get home? And for us, a lot of times, if we're coming back from a long trip over several time zones, we're just not worth a darn for at least a couple days after we get home. And then, of course, there's the usual jet lag after that. Let's see how we can address that third constraint, the physical endurance and fatigue that naturally occurs with long distance travel. So today we are leaving. We're flying from Skopje, Macedonia to Knoxville, Tennessee. Now, obviously, there are no direct flights from Skopje to Knoxville or to Nashville or to almost anywhere in the U.S. So let's see what's the best way to get home. Well, if you look on Google Flights, and I'll show you the screenshot here, the quickest flight shown is 20 hours. And that includes 3 stops. It can be through various different airports, but no matter what, it's going to take you 20 hours to get from Skopje to Knoxville. Now, if we were to take one of these flights, we would have to leave Skopje at 5:30 in the morning. Well, the Skopje airport is about 40 minutes from downtown, so you've got to figure that, plus the normal time for check-in and everything, and to wake up early enough to get out of your hotel and get there. Well, you're talking about really early in the morning. You do arrive eventually back in Knoxville the same day at 7:30 p.m. But what kind of shape are you going to be in? I mean, for me, it's going to go, wow, this is the same day, but I feel like I've been flying forever, plus all of these different airports that you have to change planes in, and you're assuming that everything will go as planned and everything will be on time. But there's another way to do that, and that is let's take some time. Let's break this trip up into some more manageable chunks that won't be so physically taxing and will help us have a little bit more physical energy when we get back home. So today, when we leave, we're leaving the hotel in Skopje at a little before noon. A very reasonable time. We've already gotten up, had some breakfast, had a nice walk, got our exercise in. We're going to take an airport bus to the Skopje airport and be well in time for our 3:30 in the afternoon flight. That flight goes to Zagreb, Croatia. We're on Croatian Airlines. And then from Zagreb, it goes to Frankfurt. Okay, so we should get into Frankfurt at about 7:30 at night. And then our plan is to stay overnight in Frankfurt at an airport hotel and rest up for the next day's flight. So you don't have much time zone changes, between here and Frankfurt, but just the idea of having spent this whole day prepping for travel, getting there and so forth, we'll have a nice overnight sleep, and our flight leaves Frankfurt the following morning at, I think it's like 10:30 in the morning. And we will still, we fly to DFW, then to Knoxville. We'll still get back to Knoxville later that night. So we'll be there at about 9:30 p.m., something like that. But we will have had that break in our travel there, so a nice rest. So, that's the way we're going to go. I should mention, though, too, another advantage. When you're searching for airlines, this isn't necessarily related to the timing of them, but we're on Croatian Airlines and we are using Avianca points. Avianca is a Colombian airline. You think, oh, Jay, what are you thinking of? But earlier in the year, we bought a boatload of Avianca points because you can use those on Star Alliance airline members, and Croatia is one of those. And so our flight for the two of us from here to Frankfurt only cost us the taxes and fees, so it's like $128 for that whole time. So that's a sweet deal. And then when we stay overnight in Frankfurt, we're going to stay at another Holiday Inn for which we have points. So that's in our minds, a freebie. So take that into consideration as well. Okay, so now follow us along as we go on our journey and try to minimize our stress, and we'll see at the end how do we actually feel. And then you can maybe try it out yourself. Okay, here we go. Well, we made it here to the Skopje airport from our hotel, and we're here in the Prime Class Lounge. And this is just another one of the benefits of making sure that you get either a priority pass or some credit card that allows that, so that you can use lounges all over the place. And there are very seldom are we ever in an airport where we can't use VIP lounges. It makes Tanya very happy.
Very happy.
Yeah, and me as well. And wow, it looks like we've got some wonderful beef goulash today.
Looks lovely.
Macedonian goulash. You can put a few noodles in there, and they've got some cakes and all that sort of thing. So, wonderful place to be. We'll see you on the next leg. Bye-bye. Well, we're in the beautiful Zagreb airport right now, Zagreb, Croatia. And after a quick hour and 5-minute flight here from Skopje, we're getting ready to board our flight to Frankfurt. There was very little time to spare, but now we're back in the Schengen zone. Had to go through security one more time, but this is a beautiful new airport. Of course, almost every airport you go to is new in developing nations, and this is it's just great. And of course, the ever popular duty free, which I'm glad this worked out great that we don't have a lot of time before we board, because Tanya just will not be able to pick out the perfect item, but I'm sure there's still time elsewhere. Here we go, Tanya. We're on board Croatian Airlines on our way to Frankfurt. Tanya is so excited. How excited are you, Tanya, exactly?
Well, if normal excited is excited to go home, I am excited to go home. Of all the trips I've gone home from, that's how excited I am.
Wow, so this last trip must have been pretty miserable for you. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I'm just excited to go home and look at my flowers.
She wants to look at her flowers. Okay, good. So it won't be too long and we'll be seeing those flowers. So on our way to Frankfurt right now. Later. So we've just checked into our hotel in Frankfurt, near the Frankfurt airport, and this little adventure took us a total of about 5 hours from Skopje to Frankfurt, Zagreb. Yeah, so I get a little confused, but here we are in our very nice bed, and so we're going to continue our adventure tomorrow. We're going to get a good night's sleep right now. We'll be well rested when we take our 10.5 hour, well, actually more than that, flight back to Knoxville. And Tanya's all excited, and here we go. Snooze time. Well, after a restful night at our hotel in Frankfurt, Tanya and I are now on our flight to Dallas-Fort Worth. Tanya's a very happy camper because she knows she's on her way home. We're in business class, courtesy of points that we used, of course, and she's got her first glass of champagne.
First class.
First one. I don't want to say a glass because you never know how these things go. She's so excited.
I'm so excited.
Now, think about this. If you were to do this all in one fell swoop, that 20 hours, by the time you got on this particular flight going back to mainland U.S., I don't know if you'd probably go for the champagne, but it would be more from exhaustion rather than from celebration. But Tanya is definitely in the celebratory mode.
Cheers.
Cheers. Okay, we're 10 hours in from Frankfurt. We're now at Dallas-Fort Worth, and we're in the American Advantage Lounge. Tanya is enjoying a glass of bubbly.
With a blackberry
With
in
a
it.
blackberry in it. So only one more leg of this journey. So we're 10 hours into this trip, and in another few hours we'll be heading off to Knoxville. Well, we're back in Knoxville, and we've been back here for about 3 days. But we wanted to give you kind of a wrap up and our conclusions as to this different kind of travel style and way to avoid jet lag. The final leg of our trip was 10 hours from Frankfurt to Dallas-Fort Worth, and then there was another 7 hours, including layover time, before we could go from there to Knoxville. Anyway, we left from Skopje, North Macedonia, and so if you count that, 5 hours there to Frankfurt, and then add that other on there. So it's total about 22 hours. But the important thing is we were trying to determine how we would feel by taking actually an extra day, staying overnight. We did in Frankfurt after that initial leg, got a good night's sleep in a hotel near the airport, went off the next morning, and then got back here late at night. So how did it work out? Tanya, do you have any conclusions on that as far as jet lag?
No, it feels pretty good. We're sleeping through the night, and I'm sleeping through the night maybe because I'm just exhausted.
Yeah.
But I'm quite satisfied with that and a nap. And
Yeah. So it's worked out really, really well. So this might be, if you have, an extra day when you're getting home from a transatlantic trip, this could be the way to go. I mean, so far, now maybe we'll just fall over, later this afternoon and be just totally exhausted. But no, that hasn't worked. We just feel great, and I think we've got it.
so
Okay, so that's it. That's today's helpful hint, especially for older travelers. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
bye.